What's up everybody and welcome back to another episode of 5 Cool Mods. This is a series where I show you guys some of the coolest mods to come out each week. Lately in the series I've been trying to balance out console mods with PC mods. A lot of you guys were saying that some episodes only had one or very few console mods, so going forward I'm trying to balance it out even better. In this particular episode we should have about 3 console mods, so hopefully that'll be enough, and then just 2 regular PC mods. As always, if you do enjoy the content, I really encourage you guys to consider subscribing, but with that, let's get right into it. So the first mod I do want to show you guys is called Let's Dance. It's not really a practical mod, but it's definitely a cool one. It adds in 7 new animations into Fallout 4. 4 of them are dances, with 3 other ones just being like idols. The dances range from a Skyrim dance, a booty shake dance, a fan dance, which is basically by Invalid Fate, and then a Magnolia dance. And then on top of that, the 3 idols are a victory celebration, cheering, and by far my favorite part about this mod as a whole, knife twirling, where your character will basically take out a knife and then just kind of like do some tricks with it in her hand, and like it almost gives you a CSGO idol feel. At least in its current state, that's all the mod does. You get a holotape and you can take advantage of some of these different dances. Although I'd really love to see this incorporated into the actual game. Like maybe right after a level up, and of course with no enemies around, you'll just start doing the victory celebration for a few seconds. That would be pretty cool. It would be a nice touch to the game, a little gimmicky, but pretty cool nonetheless. I think it would be pretty easy to find uses for the rest of these. I'm sure some people like the booty shake dance, but on top of that, the Mongolian dance and the fan dance both could be taken advantage of in something like the Dugout Inn with some music or something like that if you're really into role playing or just want to have a good time. Remember a few episodes how I said I had a huge backlog of mods? Well, this is a good example of that. This is actually a mod that came out 2 weeks ago. Sanctuary Hot Springs Settlement and Home, or just Hot Springs for short, adds in basically this new player home and kind of settlement right outside Sanctuary. And in fact, it is a massive hot spring, and it's just a really cool place to be. The mod author clearly put a lot of time to add in little details everywhere, like the little guys in the boat, the little guy in the swing, etc. The place looks really nice, and again, the main feature being that little hot spring that you could sit in. There are seats in there and you could just hang out with maybe your companions or maybe just by yourself. And then of course on top of that, there's also a player home here as well as just a normal settlement. So you can build this up however you see fit, and it's a really cool world space to take advantage of. You could build a ocean kind of player home if you really wanted to. With some of the different mods out there like Place Anywhere, you could very easily make a little boathouse, and frankly I think that'd be a pretty cool place to live. So this is without a doubt one of the coolest mods to come out in quite a while. Not as hypey as something like a brand new power armor, but equally awesome. Endless Warfare basically adds in endless warfare to the Commonwealth. There's a lot going on with this mod, so I'm going to try and explain it all. In principle, it's relatively simple. You'll just walk around and see a lot more enemies. The way the mod works is by placing 1475 scripted markers throughout the Commonwealth. So basically these are spawn markers that will spawn random enemies. But not just enemies of the same type, actually enemies from different factions. So oftentimes you'll run across some Mirelurks fighting some ghouls that are fighting some synths in addition. You have a ton of different settings, so basically you could do a light spawn rate so you're not overwhelmed, or you go the heavy spawn rate so you really have all-out warfare going on whenever you wander around. On top of that, there's a few cool options like a ghoul horde, so basically there'll be tons of ghouls everywhere and you'll have to fight them off. Or my personal favorite, the Brotherhood of Steel versus the Enclave. This is a very cool mod and I really like the way it's functioned. Basically there's a holotape added in with the mod that has a ton of different options. So you could really configure this to be balanced the way you want. If you only want enemies spawning in certain areas or only certain types of enemies spawning, you really can have complete control over that. Personally, I think this would be crazy to have in like a survival playthrough. You'll really have to play the entire game on your toes because at any point you could walk into a legendary Mirelurk Queen. One thing I did kind of like, and I don't think this is intentional by the mod author, but when you just want to experience this mod, I was just playing in my normal playthrough, but since the enemies were already aggroed to other enemies, I could just walk up to them and get a really good close-up and watch what they were doing. They wouldn't actually start attacking me unless I attacked them first. All around, it's a very cool mod. Definitely be careful on consoles. I could see you overwhelming the console or potentially crashing it, so be a little bit careful there, but I definitely recommend downloading it and just playing around with it for a little while. Next up, we do have Thematic and Practical, and well, this mod is thematic and practical. Basically, it adds in a bunch of new workshop items for you to play around with, but all these items are, again, thematic and practical. So currently, it adds in 2 different categories, but I really think it's one and then one kind of smaller one. The main category here being the scavenger category. So more or less what the mod does is add in a ton of objects related to scavengers. These are beds, these are guard posts, these are miscellaneous things. I actually really like that this adds in guard posts. I feel like a lot of these workshop mods mods don't actually add this in, and guard posts are an integral part of your settlement. Typically you have a lot of these placed down, so I like to see this. And all around, I just think this mod has a really good principle. Maybe you don't like scavengers, but maybe in a few weeks from now they'll have a police category. So then you will have all these practical and, well, thematic objects related to police. And I think that would be a really cool idea, and I really like the way this mod is functioned. All of it does look really good. All the objects are things you actually use, so like beds and furniture, and then again, of course, guard posts. And I could definitely see this mod being used over some of the bigger mods out there, because this one's simple and concise while making everything very clean and, again, usable. It definitely feels like this mod author is a player rather than just a mod author, and I really like to see that. So last but certainly not least, we do have the Ares Tsunami. Basically, this is another one of those female, I wouldn't call it a sexy armor, but it definitely have sexy armor aspects. Basically, it's broken up into 3 categories. First and foremost, you have the underbody garments. These do look pretty nice. It's kind of a mesh texture and it's really high quality. One thing I do like about this armor is how this kind of meshes with the other 2 pieces. Oftentimes, you'll have kind of an under piece right here like this, but then you put on the next piece and it just totally covers it up. Well, this one will actually show with the next piece on. The next piece, of course, being the armor itself, and that's why I kind of said it's kind of a Slooty mod, but not entirely. When you have the actual armor on, it is totally covering and just looks like more or less a normal armor mod. Of course, there's some cuts there where there probably shouldn't be cuts in a real world setting, but nonetheless, it's not as bad as a lot of other mods out there. All around, a pretty cool armor mod nonetheless. I like seeing a balance between the Slooty world and the practical world. Happy to see that. But with that, I'm going to conclude today's episode. I do hope you guys enjoyed. As always, I thank you for watching, and I hope to see you all next time. Later.